Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Kraado session. My name is Stefan. I'm a community manager at Kraado, and it's really nice to have all of you here. We were waiting for a few people to join us, but I think we could start now. Tonight, we are talking about a very important topic, which I believe is quite critical as long as you are a recent graduate or a uni student, which I mean, these are the populations that form the biggest part of Crado. So we have Charles here with us, but then before I go go on and introduce who Charles is, I'll first like to introduce what Crado is. So for those who don't know Crado is a gamified program that mainly validates the skills and I'll say knowledge of students and recent graduates. So if you're a uni student, you're a college student, or you're a recent graduate, and you like to pick up projects that make you work in enabling environments, then Crado is the best choice for you. What you can do is that you can pick up projects in the form of internships. We also have other programs like coaching that we provide to our community members, and you can even accumulate work points. We're saying build experience and confidence with Crado. Now, who do we have with us? It's very exciting to be introducing Charles. Charles Wartemberg is an engineer and a storyteller. He's currently a product lead at Microsoft. Pretty amazing. And he has expertise in consumer security, privacy, and human capital management. Charles is a product of Taft Uni and Chicago Booth School of Business. And today he's here to share his experience with us and then share what he has on job searching. Hello, Charles.
Hey, hi, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the warm introduction.
Uh,
How's everyone doing? Happy Friday.
and before we go on, Charles, I'd like everybody to share where they are, and who they are, sorry, where they are, what they do in the chat box. We'd like to know who we have with us. So, yeah, Charles, good evening. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been good. I've been good. Looking forward to a long weekend. Very looking excited to have so many folks join on a Friday night. So thank you for the dedication, and I look forward to an engaging conversation, not a presentation. So please do feel free to type stuff into the chat. Don't be shy. There's literally no question you can ask that you shouldn't ask. The question that you're thinking about that you are shy about asking, guess what? Somebody else is thinking the same thing too. So by asking that, you're actually helping someone else. So please do keep that in mind as I go through the presentation. And I know we'll have some time for Q&A afterwards. But I'd like to say huge kudos and thank you to the Crado community and team for the invitation. It's an honor to be here, and I look forward to engaging with you all today.
All right. Well, Charles, I think you can fire off.
Okay, I'm going to project my screen. Let me know when you can see it. Can you see that PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes, I think we can see it now. Thanks.
Okay, great. So Kathy gave me 25 minutes. I'm setting my Apple Watch timer for 15, so I have 10 minutes buffer warning. So our conversation today, I'll start by talking about my journey to tech. I'll kind of keep it very real, show you all the highs and some of the lows. I'll then talk about breaking into the workforce. The title of this presentation today is Job Search 101. So I'll make sure I'm talking about how to look for jobs, given context, and also awareness of I don't know everything. So whatever I know, I'll share. The things that I'm not 100%, I also call out. And then also talk about insights on how you can keep learning and growing. I am 15 years into my career, and every day I try to learn something or read something, because the minute you stop reading and learning is the minute you stop growing. And then afterwards, there'll be a moderated question and answer session where you can kind of come off mute and ask me questions. But as I'm presenting anything, if you have any questions, type into the chat. I think Kathy will ping me or come off mute and prompt me so I can go over something that is relevant. So Stefan gave me a warm introduction. So I'll quickly just go over this. I like to describe myself as a lifelong learner with a bias for action. Lifelong learner because, like I shared, the minute you stop learning, you stop growing. And my mission is to unlock the potential of the next generation. And the next generation is everyone on this call. I do believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. By training, I am an engineer, and by profession, I'm a storyteller. I've been at Microsoft the last 6 years. I have worked in Xbox, Windows, and Office, so 3 of our major franchises. So I definitely can share some insights and advice there. And no, I do not own an Xbox. I'm still waiting for the Xbox team to send me one. Um, like Stefan and Kafi mentioned, I'm a proud Ghanaian. I grew up in Ghana, went to what now we call senior high school, but back then was SSS in Ghana. I am passionate about technology and mentoring. And in my free time, I like contemporary art, and I also serve on the board of the U Chicago Alumni Club of Seattle. Below, you can find some of my handles, my website, my Twitter, and my LinkedIn. I am more active on LinkedIn than Twitter, and the website is where you can find some of my writings. And if you want to engage, you can also book some time with me. So my journey to tech has not been linear. So like I mentioned, I'm a Ghanaian born and bred. I went to the great Kwabotre in Fansipim. If you have any old boys on the call, please do let us know in the chat. After SSS, I furthered my education abroad. I studied at Tufts University in Boston, Massachusetts. I studied engineering, mechanical engineer to be specific, with a minor in economics, because what I realized when I was doing my engineering course was I enjoyed kind of the business side of engineering versus the actual engineering. So that planted a seed that led me to pursue my master's, an MBA at the University of Chicago, 3 years after finishing school. And like I shared before, the journey has not been linear. When you see this slide, it's very easy to think of, wow, Charles finished SSS in Ghana, went abroad, just started notching off wins. What you don't see here is the time I finished school. So I finished I finished university in 2009. And for folks that are aware, that's when the financial crisis had happened. So when I finished university, I actually did not have a job. And with my program, I think a good percentage of my classmates went to grad school after. So I had no plan, and it was quite scary. So I shared this slide not to boast, but to share that, whatever you plan, things happen. You have to be able to adjust. And when you're thinking about jobs, for all the new grads or the upcoming grads, it's great to dream of that, dream job, but be very realistic and to also be humble, understand what opportunities are available. If you're doing your national service, try and get a job there. If you get an internship or a project or a contract, everything builds onto the next thing. So in this slide, my first job was in a financial company called Jump Trading. This was not a full-time job. This was an internship at the IT help desk. So I was pretty much in charge of helping the computers run in this financial firm. As somebody who studied engineering, I could have said this job is below me. I'm looking for a full-time job, but I took the best option available to me because there were no jobs then. So after that opportunity or that internship, I got my first full-time job at a company called McMaster Car. They sell industrial supplies, so things that factories and warehouses use to operate. And once again, I got a job in as a generalist. So I did everything from customer service to answering phones, helping people with product questions. I could have also said, oh, I did engineering. I want to go and build stuff. I don't want to be taking phone calls, doing customer service. But when I take a step back, I got a good grounding on fundamentals, how to work, how to show up on time, how to be diligent, how to do what you said you do. Because what you realize is, you pay to go to university, but when you're working, they pay you to show up. So you have to make sure that you are showing up and doing your best. Um, Everyone looking for a job is very eager, but some people start a job and start feeling entitled. So just thinking about that as you're going through your search is helpful. And then whilst I was at McMaster, there's no African or Ghanaian without a side hustle. So I had some friends who were doing a t-shirt company, decided to join up with them. So I became an investor in a company called Wishful Thinker Clothing. And the key learning here was that, ideas are easy. It's all about the implementation. We'd have all these planning meetings and talk about all the great things we want to do. But what we realized was implementation was where rubber hits the road. So after being in Chicago for some time, after finishing my master's, I got a job in technology, first with Amazon. So I moved to Seattle to work at the Amazon headquarters. And the key learning from that is, they move very fast. Sometimes you want to get comfortable in a job, understand what you're doing. But what you realize is sometimes you have to move fast and adapt. And it's always day one. What do I mean by that? The first day you start a job, you're excited, you put on your clothes, you make sure you arrive on time, you're punctual. Have that feeling every single day. Do not get comfortable and say, oh, or this job is not for my father, etc. Always have that day one mindset and have an owner mindset. And then last, so currently I work at Microsoft Corporation headquarters in Seattle, Washington. And I've been there for the last 6 years. I've had a bunch of different roles, Xbox, Windows, Office, and now I work in our HR team building technology for career. The key learning here is the power of a growth mindset. A growth mindset just means I do not know how to do something yet. So for folks who are looking for opportunity, you look at your CV or your resume, you may not have a lot of actual work experience, or you see a job and you can go like, oh, wow, I don't have all the qualifications. And especially for the ladies on the call, anything you see that you don't have, just say yet, and then make a plan. With the internet, everything is at your fingertips. From LinkedIn Learning to a Google search to Medium, information is at our fingertips. We just need to know where to find that. And then last but not least, since I'm from Microsoft, I wanted to share some pictures of like what we actually do at Microsoft. A lot of people think it's all about writing and shipping code, but what you realize is when you write and ship the code or build a product, you have to sell it, market it, you have to recruit people. So in technology companies, I would say about 30 to 40% of the people write code. Everybody else kind of support. So here are some pictures that showcase some of the fun stuff we've been able to do at Microsoft, from attending festivals or conferences to doing international recruiting trips. The one on the top right is actually a radio show that our then head of recruiting host, where they invite people to come and talk about what they're working on. On the bottom, you see some pictures from a hackathon where you spend a week just building anything you want to build. You get a chance to present it. And then on the bottom right, we have all these employee resource groups. So I got the chance to share with the chief marketing officer of Microsoft about kind of my journey. So that was a really nice moment. And what you realize in all these pictures is there are no computers. It's all about people. People is what make or break a company. And as you're looking for opportunity and doing your job search, it's about the people you meet before, during, and after, and about how you interact with them. You want to make sure that you leave every interaction with the best note possible. Where you don't show up well, you want to make sure you show up better than next time. So I'm going to switch gears a bit and talk about, insights on job search. So think of this as job search 101. Like I mentioned before, I am not an expert. I have worked for 15 years, but by no means does that make me an expert on job search. I have mostly a Western job experience. So I will try to pass that out and make sure I'm giving clear examples for the local market. So first and foremost, jobs are not a birthright. Nobody's entitled to a job. It's an opportunity. So when you have a job, you cherish it and you do your best. In terms of the mechanics to get a job, I'm sure the kraado team has emphasized the resume and cover letter. I want to emphasize it again. The key to getting any job, even if you know someone there, is your resume and your cover letter. Not just a general one. You have to adapt it to the specific job. So if it's a job in finance where you need to know Excel or you need to know spreadsheet, make sure your cover letter and your resume reflects that, because I have viewed many, many thousands of resumes in my career. And the minute I see a generic resume that doesn't fit the job, I don't even waste my time. I spend about 10 seconds, 20 seconds max reviewing resumes and cover letters. So I want to make sure that there are no spelling mistakes, they're adapted to the job. And for Ghana specifically, references is something that is important. So as you're going through uni make sure you have references from your teachers or your community leaders that you can put on your resume. People may not reach out to them, but seeing who your references are is also a good signal. I also like to share that in this digital age, sharing work samples is very important. So if you're looking for a job that has a marketing component, a social media component, anything, if you have done anything, share the link. It can be a PDF or a link to the item, because people like to see what you have done, because past work is a predicator for future kind of results. So as much as you can, share work samples. And for folks who are thinking, oh, I don't have any samples, that is a great time to engage and look for projects. You can leverage the kraado community or anywhere that people are looking for people to do stuff. So, for example, if you want to work in marketing, look for a company and just volunteer to do a marketing plan for them. You gain two things or three things. First, you gain a relationship. Second, you get experience. And third, you get samples that can help you in your future job search. And then last but not least, follow up at appropriate times. When you send the resume or the application in, a lot of people are sending applications in. So wait for like a week or two and do a reminder, oh, dear sir, madam, following up based off the medium you used, and also leverage anyone you know internally. So if you know anyone from your church or your community or your school who's in that company, you can say, hey, I've applied to a job at company Y. Can you make sure that my application is seen? So that's some insights on the job search. I know that in Ghana, most folks do national service after uni. So definitely leverage your national service, show up well, meet people. Even if you don't continue with that company, you still will make professional relationships that can then be helpful down the line. A question that I got was top places to find work. So applying at work, national service, but I'll say the top three things that come to mind is networking. So when you go out meeting people, and not networking shouldn't always be take. It's also about give and take. So as you're meeting people, asking what they do, that helps you build your network, and sharing what you're in the market for, or sharing what industry your degree is. So if BCom or finance or psychology, meeting people helps you find opportunity. If you are already in university, internships are helpful. And then for everyone in and out of university, social media is not just for TikTok. I've seen a lot of people leverage social media to find opportunities. So make sure you're following the companies you're interested in, you're following the leaders there. You're also present on LinkedIn, have an up-to-date profile. One thing I notice a lot about people I mentor in Ghana is people don't really have LinkedIn. So please, I beg you, if you don't have a LinkedIn, make a commitment to create one over the weekend. For folks who have LinkedIn, if it's not up to date, I beg you this weekend, take 30 minutes, update your LinkedIn, put a nice picture that just shows your face, and make sure your LinkedIn is up to date. Because if you're looking for a job and you don't have an up-to-date LinkedIn, then that's not helpful, because folks will do a web search on you, and that's the first thing they show. So if you're not showing up well, it doesn't help with the application. And then also leveraging communities, job fairs, and boards, because when there are opportunities, people reach out to networks and people they know. So leveraging these job boards or community is also a good way to get access to opportunity, because most of these jobs, when they come out, have a lot of applications. So being in these community groups are helpful as you're looking for opportunity. And then in terms of working for multinational companies, I would say if you get that opportunity, it's fantastic. You get a world-class experience, use the same tools, the same processes, no matter where you're located. So for example, if you're Nestle, Unilever, Samsung, they have all these training programs where you are training with your rest of your colleagues around the world. Those are fantastic opportunities, but not everyone can get them. So be realistic. If it's, whatever you can find, a job is a job. Take it, do it well, be humble as you're looking for your next thing, and be dedicated. I have about 10 minutes to go, so I'll try and talk a bit more faster. Folks on this call are usually either doing interviews or looking for interviews. So this is a section around on interview questions. I'm not going to read the entire slide, just a high level. any interview you go to, they will ask you, tell me about yourself. So you have to practice that answer, know exactly how you want to answer it. Talk about why you want to work at company X or Y, do some research, and then keep your answers short. So don't talk for 10 minutes. Try to keep it very short so you can answer more questions. Another question that you will get is, why do you want to work for this company? And for this one, you can't say, oh, I want to work here because, you pay well or something. Everybody wants somebody who wants to be here. So within the job description, learning more about the company. Oh, I like this company because of your sustainability model or because of your mission or whatever you're doing is, mission driven. I like it. You have to practice and answer that question well. And if you don't have a good answer, you have to ask yourself, is this company worth interviewing for? And then most interviews, after you talk to people, they'll ask you, hey, do you have any questions? That is also an interview question. So as you are doing your research on the company, pick some things that are interesting to you and then ask at least 2 or 3 questions. The questions that you ask is part of the interview. So asking insightful ones are helpful. The last one on this is on communication. So interviewing, looking for a job, in a job, growing at a job, getting promoted, it's performance, which is translated through communication. When you're early in your career, that's what helps you stand out. So, crisp, effective communication, even if it's a SMS or a work email or a PowerPoint, making sure you are communicating effectively is very important. Communication comes in many formats. There's a verbal communication that you do in a meeting or on the phone. There's also written communication or digital communication. So as you're early in your career, figure out which one you're strong in. Make sure you're having more of those opportunities. And then the ones that you're not good in, practice or look for opportunities. So if it's, presentations is not your strong suite, if you're anywhere there's a chance to present or introduce someone, raise your hand. Over time, you get more comfortable. I'll leave you with a job productivity toolkit that helps you learn and keep growing. Like I shared before, everything is on the internet. It's all about looking for it. I leverage social media a lot professionally, and you can also do it for fun. But I would say Twitter is very powerful. And with Twitter recently announcing the Ghana headquarters, it makes it more relevant. I think of Twitter as group chat for the entire world. You can follow business leaders, companies, and engage when applicable. You get insights on their programs, or we are looking to hire this, or we are opening an application. That's when you kind of get there. And when you see stuff, also share with your community. With LinkedIn, I've talked about it. It's your online resume. If you're a developer or technical, there's GitHub there. You get to connect to people from your uni, people in your network. And it's not only about reading. If you see an article that is interesting, you can share it with some comments. If you attend a program, you can take a picture and share a summary of what it is. So you are sharing out your knowledge. That is also a good way to keep growing. And then I'm a big fan of podcasts. So this is available on Google Play, iTunes, anywhere. Because I'm in business and technology, a lot of the stuff I listen to is like in that space. There's a podcast called How I Built This that just talks about entrepreneurs. I think it's very helpful. But once again, this is from the Western kind of point of view, so it may not be too accurate. So if you find, any local podcast, or you find, on Clubhouse, there is Ghana Africa Corporate Network, and also like all these developer circles from Google and Facebook that may be helpful. Medium.com is where you find a lot of really good articles about technology and jobs and people writing about, here's how I got into this. If you're looking for something and don't find it, that's an opportunity to also like write something in the future. And then I'd like to end by saying to look back. 15 years ago, I was in your shoes. I reached out to people, not everybody replied, but I just made sure that whenever I got that opportunity, I would always give back, which is kind of why I'm here. But careers are not linear. Everyone's journey is different. Even twins have different personalities. So whatever you're looking for a job, don't think it's this and then that and then this. Obviously, you can have a plan, but be flexible. Don't compare yourself to your friends or your peers. Encourage each other, learn from each other, but everyone's journey is different. Someone can finish university, first job MTN, first job Nestle, go abroad, but don't think that's the only path. There are many paths based off your interest and opportunity. Work is a meritocracy, but it's not perfect. You get in by your merits, and then based off your impact, you rise. But once again, it's not perfect. So, when you see things that can be improved, you look for a diplomatic way to share that with your manager or supervisor. But nothing is perfect in this world. And then the last thing is, above it all, like help one another, give back, and keep learning. With that, I'll give it back to the kraado folks for Q&A. But if you like to keep engaged, you can find me on Twitter at @cwartemberg, linkedin.com/cwartemberg. And then I post regularly about business, career, technology on my Instagram handle at @onwithcharles. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the Q&A session.
Thank you, Todd. Yeah, we all clap, but then our audios are off, so they can't hear. But that was a great delivery. We totally enjoyed the session and the insights given. We're going straight into the next session, which is the Q&A session. So as we announced earlier, if you have any questions, please feel free to post it in the question session. And then Stefan, please can you share the screen with the questions from the community? Okay, so one question here. It's not really a question, it's more like Samira said, can you get me an Xbox? Because you said you were working for it. So.
I am still waiting for my Xbox. They gave me free games, but not the Xbox, so I'm still waiting for that.
Okay, Samira, you got your answer, right? She's like, oh, how? Then we have Alfred. So Sue Alfred is a developer, an up-and-coming developer. He says sometimes I feel anxious about when I will get that dream job working for a big tech company. Did you ever feel this way, and how did you deal with it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when you're in university or when you're starting your career, you look at people work at this company, you look at their LinkedIn or their profile, like, hey, who's this person? It's very normal. But what do you realize when you meet people, everybody is very down to earth. Occasionally you find some funny people, but people are very down to earth. It's a sequence of steps. I'm an engineer, so I like to break down problems as a sequence of steps. When I'm looking for opportunity, obviously there's dream job, but then I think about it in terms of bucket 1, 2, and 3. Bucket 1 is like opportunities that are available to me. Bucket 2 is things that I can go and try, and then bucket 3 is dream job. So I'm always looking for opportunities in those 3 buckets to make sure that at least I get something. Because what you don't want to do is be at home without anything to do. So for Alfred Sosu, think about as your developer, you're working on projects. Make sure your projects are on your GitHub, share them with the community. As you're seeing problems or things you're fixing, talk about why you're fixing a problem and share it. Hackathons are fantastic and they are global in nature. So either by yourself or with a group, try and find a hackathon to do that gives you real life experience. And the problems you're solving are real problems. And then when you have a hackathon under your belt, it's work that you have created. If you go to an interview in the future, you can talk about, I realized, finding public transportation is hard. So I built an app to help solve that. I use this open source, this what I did. People want to see how you think. So by having like examples that you hold, it's very helpful when you're talking to people. What's the next question?
The next question is from Angelina. Angelina is asking, what tools or website can you use to leverage for job search, with the exception of LinkedIn? I think you answered that, but if you want to.
So I think it's all about community. So the kraado community is a fantastic community. Developer cycles, based off your industry you're in, think of where are they. So for example, if you want to work in, let me say, telecoms, is there a telecom festival? Is there a telecom hangout? Is there a meetup? Is there a group? Find a way to, or find someone who's in that place and say, hey, I'm passionate about this space. I would like to work in, telecom in the future. What are some of the committees I can be part of? And, I would love to chat with you more to learn about how you broke in, something of that sort. So yes, websites, job boards, but I would say community and networking is very important. Hartwell, sorry, back to you, Kafui.
Hartwell, is how do you determine the right channel through which to apply for jobs at these big tech companies in the first place?
Sure. So big companies or companies in general have application portals you can put your resume through. The problem is that they get thousands of applications. So sometimes it's like a needle in a haystack. So the advice I have for people is, if you know anyone in these big companies and you see a job that you are qualified for, you can reach out and say, hey, I see this job that is interesting. I would, what do you call it? I have sent in an application, or I want to send an application. Can I send you my resume and cover letter for you to review it for me? That is a soft ask. But then what typically happens is most companies have referral programs. So if somebody that works in the company refers you, it gives your application more consideration. Obviously, you shouldn't reach out to somebody you don't know and go like, hey, I've applied here, give me a referral. That's not showing humility. So you can talk about, hey, I love this company. I've applied, I'm interested in this company. I have also do your homework. Like look for things. If you find things already online, read it and say, oh, I've done this, I've read this. I have actually applied for a job and I'd love to get any insight that you have. High level. And if you do that well, the person will go like, oh, fantastic, great. Send me a copy of your CV. I'll see if I can find the hiring manager internally to push it for you. So it's a bit of a delicate dance where you want to show humility, you want to express interest, do your research and homework. If you do that well, you get somebody offering to refer you, but don't come off with, hey, please refer me, because that's a bit too sharp. Back to you, Kafui.
Okay, Daniel is saying, how did you get into Microsoft?
I got into Microsoft after graduate school. So I applied through my university, through the job board. I interviewed and got that opportunity. That being said, I know not everyone can apply and move from Ghana to the United States. The good thing with globalization is that these big tech companies or companies in general are opening up on the continent. For Microsoft, we have engineering centers in Nigeria and also Kenya, as with other companies. So I got my job through university. And for folks that I've seen join Microsoft in recent years, through a mix of networking, boot camps, recruitment drives, and also, Andela is for those who are tech, tech folks. These kind of Andela or bootcamp or hackathon programs are a good place to, start your tech career, keep growing, and then get consideration for down in the line.
All right. Thank you. The questions are a lot, so I will switch back to the people in-house. So Stefan, just hold on for a bit, okay? This one goes, do you read cover letters?
Sometimes.
Is it from the audience?
Sometimes. And we can do like a bit of a rapid fire question, and I'll try my best. I want to go through all the questions because if anyone made time to type a question, I want to make sure I answer them. So cover letters, sometimes. I read through the resume. If it's interesting, I'll look at the cover letter. Next question, please.
And who is a program manager, a programs manager at Microsoft?
Microsoft is old. We are 40 years old, so the title program manager is quite broad. So you can work in finance, operations, or engineering and be a program manager. But I'd say in tech, kind of the new tech companies like the Googles and Facebook, they have a role called product manager. So think of product manager as a program manager-ish. So for folks who are looking for opportunity, that product manager, associate product manager are good opportunities to look at.
Okay. And the next one is, okay, how different is human capital product management from the typical product management? Second, okay, you take that one and then I'll...
No. Yeah, a bunch of them, yeah.
Okay, for someone who is around the HR IS and HR tech, how would you advise I transition into HCM product management specifically?
Cool.
This is from Anthony.
Yeah, so PM and HCM PM are the same thing. My job is to build products or to understand human needs. What do people actually care about? Leverage research, leverage data science, leverage design to build products that are helpful to people. Not every solution requires technology. Some can be just a video. So I'd say I started my career in product management, or I discovered product management, and in my current role, I was actually recruited based off some other work I have done to come lead product in an HR team. So whilst I do work in HR, I'm not an HR trained person. I'm learning HR as I go along. But if you take a step back, it's all technology and products for people. You have a value prop, you have personas, you beta test, you ship, you refine, you learn, you use insights to make sure you're doing the right thing. So I'm a product manager who works in the technology space. And then the second question about how do I break into HR tech or product management in HCM, I would say it's all about the options you have. So if you're already in HR, that's great. Look for the team that is building programs or products and say, hey, this is interesting. Or you're doing this project. Or can I tag along? Or can I help with this project? That's a good way to kind of gain that experience. If you're a tech person trying to break into HR, think about what are some of the problems that HR solves, especially with COVID-19. Everyone is hybrid. The employee experience has changed. So thinking about what are the problems that a technologist needs to solve in the HR space is interesting. And there's a lot of opportunity there, but broadly, it's all about using common sense insights, design to solve problems in an elegant way. And not everything requires technology. Our CEO Satya Nadella says it best. It's like you have a hammer and everything looks like a nail. Sometimes you don't always have to use technology. You can use something else.
Okay, this one is it always necessary to have the details of referees / references on your CV?
For Ghana, yes. For outside, no. But for Ghana, I'll say yes, because the system is such that people expect CV, referees. So if you don't have a referee or reference, you're not putting yourself in the best position for success. So it can just be one line of, or you can even say references available upon request. But if you have a teacher or a lecturer or a community person that you respect, that you ask them, hey, can I list you as a reference? It doesn't hurt to have it. But if you don't have it, it could sometimes be the difference between your resume being seen or not seen.
Okay, but okay, I'll ask a follow-up later. But this one is, what messages did people send you on your timeline, either on LinkedIn or Twitter, that caught your eye and made you want to talk to them?
Of late, things have become quite stressful. I'm a new dad. I have a 3-month-old boy, so my social media response has been quite abysmal. I have folks who have reached out to me on LinkedIn that haven't responded. I feel very bad about it. Mostly on social media, I go there to learn. So I'm mostly like looking at other product people, other people in technology, other people in Africa doing interesting things, just cheering them on and like learning. In terms of like things that catch my eye, just be pretty direct and genuine. It's like, hey, and be like as direct as you can be. So, hey, Charles, I am doing this, or I want your advice. I want this in doing this. Because of remotes and Zoom and Teams, most of us talk 8 hours a day straight. So if you can ask the questions via email or DM or whatever, as specific as you can, I'm able to like better answer. And if it's, hey, I'm looking for opportunities at company XYZ, I see that you know ABC. Here is like a bit about myself, my bio, my CV. If you're comfortable, can you please do an introduction for me? Being as clear as possible. But if it's, hey, I want to talk to you about your career, that's too broad. Because if you go to my LinkedIn and my website, I've published a bunch of stuff that you can read. And I try my best to do kind of bulk or community events. So it's one to many. because I want to make sure that I do spend time at home because I have a young family, and I want to make sure that I'm not doing too much at work and there's balance.
Okay. Then the next one is, how can you after you get rejected by a big company? Sometimes your CV may look perfect, but you get rejected. So how can you get feedback and improve?
Whew, good question. Rejections are part of the game. When I showed you my slide with all the jobs I've had, what you didn't see is all the jobs that have bounced me. I wanted to work in oil and gas. Chevron, BP, Exxon all said no. It's part of the game. You're not going to get every job you apply to. The goal is to get one, because you can't do more than one job at a time officially. So rejections are part of the game. Definitely take the time to be sad, but dust yourself up and move forward. In terms of feedback, it's kind of hard to get feedback if you haven't done like an interview. If it's just an application online with your CV, they can't really give you any feedback. And I know it's not cool, but that's just the way it works. But if you do an interview and then let's say you come up as second runner up or third runner up, you can ask the person, hey, thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed getting to meet you. As part of growing and developing, I love any high level feedback you have on areas that I can be better or improve on. That can help you. But once again, because of confidentiality and you want to give as much feedback as you can legally, but sometimes that gets a bit tricky. So just saying, what are some of the areas or the trends that I can kind of improve upon that in the future makes me a better candidate? If the person is up, can give you some feedback.
Okay. This one is about product management. What skills are required to make an effective product manager?
Man, you have to be a jack of all trades, master of none. So I think it's there was actually a slide that I had that I was going to show, but I didn't show it. Where is it? But it's a mix. As a product manager, you are the jack of all trades and master of none. So you are accountable for the product being delivered on time. A product that is what you're trying to solve for, because what you realize in the software development lifecycle is you can say, hey, we want to build a car, and then throughout that process you end up with a bicycle, or you forget what you're doing. So the product manager's job is you're in the middle. You're working with design, research, data science, customers, executives, and your job is to be the voice of the customer to ensure that whatever you're building fits who you're building for. You can build for consumers or enterprise. For example, like Uber app is for consumers and enterprise. So you want to make sure that you're really understanding your customer needs, and all product manager jobs are different. I've had product manager jobs where it's more of like marketing and presentations, and I've had product manager jobs where it's literally like writing specifications, working with engineering, doing user testing, like dog fooding to make sure there are bugs and you're fixing it. So that's kind of what makes product management exciting, because you can get to do so many different things. But based off the job you have, based off the maturity of the company, startup or an established company, based on the type of product you're working on, enterprise or consumer, it depends on the kind of opportunities you have. So that's a bit of a, everything answer. But if I tell you product management is A, B, C, I'm lying to you. You have to be adaptable, always learning, flexible, being able to communicate clearly, get people to come together who don't always agree, and come up with a plan and execute ruthlessly. It's kind of the skills of product management.
Okay. We can go have a whole session about product management, because that's something I'm also interested in.
Well, if Kafi invites me back, I'll talk more about product management and product marketing if I get an invitation back. So Kafi, I'm watching
you. You will get it back. After all, you're a coach, right? So
okay.
All Kraado coaches get a second chance to come back.
Okay.
So this one is from Emmanuel. Emmanuel says there are a lot of IT fields. What should one do when they are caught between one or two career fields to choose and focus on in the IT field?
Um, Lay out pros and cons for both opportunities and leverage your support system. Some people call it your career board of advisors, but think of that person at your work or that you have met that seems so wise that you talk to about decisions, and also your family, and walk through like, hey, I have option A and option B. Here are my pros and cons. How should I think about it? And can I get input from others? And then when you think about decisions, you think about how hard is it to reverse it. So, for example, you're in company A, you get opportunity to work on an IT team 1 or 2, and you are trying to pick. If you pick one, it doesn't mean you can't do 2 in the future. So thinking about how easy is it to do something else, and it's all for a point in time. So the main thing is it's about the learnings you want to learn. So it may be this opportunity has a new language you want to learn, or something cutting edge you want to learn, or this opportunity may be a chance to be a lead to drive something. So it depends on where you are and what you want to achieve, and then picking the best option for you.
Okay, hold on, I'm trying to pull up the next question. Thank you for that submission. The next question is, how long should your CV be or your resume? The number of pages.
Early in career, and by early in career I mean under 5 years work experience, try and get it to 1 page if you can. You can cheat a little bit because your cover letter is also another page of your resume, and any work samples. Typically, you want to hyperlink stuff. So if it's like a Canva or Instagram, whatever, hyperlink it on your CV, but ideally 1 page. But if you are PhD or masters or publications, you want to get to 2 pages, that is fine. Anything more than 2 pages, I think is a bit much for CVs. But once again, this is where I'll kind of lean a bit more on Kafui and folks in the community who have seen more CVs from the Ghanaian context. But from where I'm sitting, 1 page, at most 2.
Okay. And the next question is from, okay, I didn't catch the guy's name, but if you're here, do you think coding bootcamp graduates have a future in the tech industry?
Absolutely, without a doubt, 100%. Google just created this Google certificate program where they are treating people who finish these programs on par with university graduates. There are more technology jobs than people. There are more technology jobs than people. I'm going to repeat that again. So boot camps are essential because they scale. Not everyone can go to university A or B to get a computer science degree. Boot camps mean you are taking that initiative to better yourself to learn. And at Microsoft, leveraging LinkedIn, we have a goal of like 30 million people upskilled by 2025 or something. But definitely like boot camps, I'm a big believer of boot camps because we get talent from all over the world, talent that is diverse, talent that has different perspectives on solving problems. So yes, I am definitely a big fan of boot camps. They create access to opportunity, and yeah, I can talk about boot camps for a long time. I haven't myself done a boot camp, but for example, Microsoft has a program called LEAP, LEAP. I think last month or 2 months ago, they were doing a boot camp-ish thing in Nigeria and Ghana. And these are ways where you get the attention of all these tech companies, boot camps, for sure.
Okay. I have taken bootcamp lessons, so I can attest to that. So then the next question is, how would you react if someone approached you on LinkedIn directly and asked for a job?
Well, I'm not hiring right now on my team. So if you ask for a job, I have no job to give. But I literally will think about, careers.microsoft.com. Any company that you're looking at, careers.thatcompanyname.com is where all the jobs are. You can set an alert to get emailed jobs in specific fields at a certain time. So I can say, Microsoft, email me all the product management jobs that are remote friendly every single week, and you get them. When you see them and you apply and you reach out and say, hey, I've applied to job XB or job this, I love your any feedback on how I can strengthen my application. That shows two things. You have gone to the website, you have done your homework, you have applied, and now you're reaching out. But if you start to step 4 of like, hey, how do I get a job at Microsoft? I'll tell you, and I'm trying to be polite, but it's like, have you done step 1, 2, and 3? Because if you haven't, then you're telling me to do step 1, 2, and 3 for you. And, you have to be kind of mindful of folks' time, because especially now with COVID, everybody working at home remotely, there's a lot of stress on people, and you want to be kind of mindful of that.
Okay, for that response. We have 5 minutes left to end, but you don't have to rush it. You can extend it by 10 minutes so that people's bandwidth don't finish, like people's data bundles don't finish. The next question: how can I identify jobs that match my skills? From Linda.
I'd like to learn a bit more about that. Linda, are you comfortable coming off mute to kind of talk a bit more about that? If not, I can make my best to guess what you're saying and answer. But if you're able to come off mute, I can add more color. That'd be great.
Linda is on the call.
Okay. So how to find a job that matches your skills? Most jobs have requirements. So those requirements kind of, are a proxy of the skills that are needed. So 2 to 3 years experience in this, must be proficient in Word, or must know this, must know that. Those are the skills that are required. So that's a good way to match what you're doing to those. And I also want to call out, you do not need to have every skill for every job before you apply. I want to repeat that again. You do not need to have every skill. There are folks I've talked to like, oh, well, I don't have all the requirements, I'm not going to apply. And especially ladies like to be everything covered before we apply. Men, even if they know 2, they'll be like, I'll learn the rest. So this is something I really want to just emphasize. You obviously don't go apply for a CEO job when you haven't worked, but take a leap of faith. If you know 50% or more and you have a plan to learn the other 50, shoot your shot. But like I said, especially to our ladies on the call, do not feel the need to be perfectly aligned to every job, because if you have all the requirements, then what are you going to learn? Like, you have to learn something on the job. So it's like, hey, I know A, B, and C, and this thing, I'm passionate about it, and I'm going to take a LinkedIn class, I'm going to learn about it. That is enough, because you want people who are also learning. So please, don't feel the need to be perfect for every requirement, because if you don't apply, there's definitely no way you're getting that job. But if you apply, at least there's a chance for you.
Okay. You are not talking to me. Samira, stop mentioning my name. You are one of them. So somebody wanted to know where, aside LinkedIn, where they can find jobs, like job posting.
I'll say a web search is usually the best way to go, because Android developers is quite wide. So a web search is a place that I'll say start with. And I know Charles Benning said, why is it hard to get a first developer job? There are companies that are looking for people with some experience and some folks. So it's kind of, the first job is usually the trickiest. So anytime you can do like projects or hackathons, you are getting more like things under your belt. So with those kind of exposures, it helps with the first job. But whatever the case, wherever you are, you will work. When I finished university, I stayed at home for 9 months without a full-time job. I was sad. My father said, when you die, your tombstone will never write, he didn't work a day in his life. It's about being patient with yourself, give yourself grace, understand that it will happen. But you have to keep working at it. Don't get discouraged. Talk to your friends. If you are sad, take a walk. Like, just do some small things that make it fun for you. But this job search thing doesn't end. Like, I've worked 15 years, been at Microsoft 6 years. I'm always learning and growing. Folks are always reaching out. I'm listening and I'm learning. So you never get to a place where, I think I'm getting some interference in the call from kraado community. So you never get to a place where you go like, oh, I've mastered, I've finished. Even people who are retired are still learning. So what about you that are starting your career?
That's right. Charles is saying, why is it so hard to get your first developer jobs? Start with an internship, but Charles, you can answer that. This is Charles Benin. He is saying, why is it so hard to get a first developer job?
Okay, is that a question to me?
Yes, that's another guy called Charles. He's in the
I think I'd answered that with the look for internships and opportunities to like do projects that help you get that first job.
Okay. From Joshua, I want to work for a company in Europe. Are there such companies that offer accommodation and travel support? And what other things do I need to know about working abroad?
Let me try and unpack that. Yes, there are companies that hire for abroad. I think like TransferWise and a bunch of different companies hire. So you want to look at what is called the EMEA region. So EMEA is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So that covers everywhere from Europe to the Middle East to Africa. And those opportunities will surface the companies that are looking for talent. If you get a company that is willing to relocate and sponsor, then you can actually move to Europe. But now with post-COVID or that hybrid world, you're finding companies that are open to remote work. So if that's your dream, I would say create a target on companies that are in the EMEA region or that have opportunities in the EMEA region as you continue your search. But know that if Europe or EMEA is your goal, it may not happen month 1, 6 months, 1 year. You may have to take a local job, keep working at it to the right time when that happens, because it's all about opportunity and also availability, and you want to do your best to match those up, but sometimes they don't happen at the same time. One of my friends shared this to me last week. He said, you can have everything you want in life, but not at the same time. So I think that's a really kind of helpful in these kind of conversations. You can have everything you want, but not at the same time. Kafri, you're mute if you're speaking.
Oops, I was speaking. I said I agree, and I'm sure most of us agree too. This will be our last question because it's 7 o'clock, 2 minutes past 7. What are the best websites that employ junior Android developers?
That is a very specific question. I would say I don't know the answer to that, but a web search or looking for senior Android developers will be a good place to start. Off my head on Twitter, I know Victor Asemota, Edem Kumoji, Yawam Wating, a bunch of folks that are plugged into the tech community where you can either tweet at them or look at stuff they've tweeted in the past to learn about these jobs, these junior jobs. Also, companies such as Andela, Flutterwave, Mest are places to also look at. And then if you do find that information, you can also compile them and put it on a tweet or a blog post. So the next person after you who has the same question can easily find it. And by doing that, you're giving back into the community.
Okay. And I also add that we have Android specific community in Accra. That's GDG, Google Developer Groups. And we have one of the community leads here, Samira. So you can always reach out to Samira for support with regards to Android. Okay, I think we have come to the end of our wonderful session. So thank you so much, Charles. This was amazing. This selfless act of giving back. We really appreciate, and we'd like to welcome you to the kraado community as a coach and a mentor.
Absolutely. It's definitely, literally, I'm very serious. Any young person who Friday night is not at Bloomberg or chilling on a Zoom, on a Google call, listening on how to better their career, that's step one. Like focus. And I'm so thankful to have you all spend time. You all get 24 hours in a day. So thank you so much. Feel free to reach out, be as specific and as detailed as possible. I am still working through my inbox. It may be a bit of a while till I reply. And please do give the gentle reminder if I forget. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Let's give a huge clap and shout out to the kraado community for organizing this. Thank